Morning, beautiful. Great to see you, delicious divinity. It is awesome to be here. It's just too cold outside. It's beautiful though. I hope you saw the photographs. If you haven't, make sure to look them up. I looked out when I finished my meditation. I looked out and there was all this fog creeping across the valley. And fog is always gorgeous, right? So I kind of got myself organised and all these layers and the right shoes, so my feet wouldn't freeze. And I walked up and I was kind of told, turn your phone on now, because you're going to want to take pictures as you walk up the hill. And I did. It was like, oh geez, can I get where I need to go before it burns off? Hi Amy, hi Linda. But I did. And it's very beautiful, and I knew there'd be a fog over the sea, and there was, although pictures. There's our bump. We've had our bump. Whoopee. So today we're doing rocks, and this is As You're Right. Good morning, Sang Marie. Good morning, Jen. Can see your little face pop up at the bottom with a heart. Yay! Lovely to see you all. Isn't this groovy? Who knew that As You're Right grows in discs? Oh, camels. Thank you for being on Camel Guard, Linda. I so appreciate it. Camels are bumps on the internet, in case anybody wonders what the hell we're talking about. So this is As You're Right, and it's a wonderful specimen, right? And I don't even know what this is that it's growing on. Maybe it's something like sandstone. It's quite smooth and sandy, but I think it's fabulous. It's lovely to hold, but it does feel sandy. And there's the As You're Right. So there you go. Because we're talking about greatness today. Actually, really, we're talking about greatness and how do you choose what greatness is for yourself. And today's rocks are quite diverse. So I know some of you, maybe many of you have seen this fella before. It's a beautiful thing, really lovely pyramid. And I discovered when I was looking down on it that I could see rainbows, but I don't know if the light's from the right direction. Anyway, isn't it pretty? And this question that I'm going to answer, my husband is doing the sharing magic right now, and he's just tagged Jocelyn for me because Jocelyn it was who asked the question. And we'll get to the question in a minute. Today, right now, we're just enjoying this wonderful piece of Chinese quartz. Yeah, it's not from Brazil, where a lot of quartz comes from. It's from China. And it's beautiful. It's not perfect, is it? But it is beautifully shaped, and I love that. And it's all kind of foggy because my hands are warm because I've been walking, and the condensation comes off them and condenses on the pyramid, which of course is quite cold, and there you go. And this is, a piece of rose quartz, right? Terribly ordinary, but it's beautiful. It's got this lovely layered thing going on, which you don't normally see in rose quartz. So I always enjoy that about it. But, like many of us, it just looks like an ordinary thing. But there you are, you can see the agatized layers. It's quite unusual for rose quartz to grow as a crystal. It's rare. Normally it's just a big chunk, and this is just a little chunk of a big chunk. But I love the fact that it has these lines through it because that's unusual. So, but if you don't stop to look at it, it just looks like a very ordinary piece of rose quartz, and it's no big deal until you see the light coming through it. I don't know if I can show you. Let me get the phone. Get this right. There, you can really see just how kind of agatized it is. So it's fabulous. And look how transparent it is below that section that's all full of those layers. So, what is greatness? Because Jocelyn's question was, look, I've been doing blessing of the energy centres. I've finally figured out, Jocelyn, you'll laugh, I figured out what BTOC means. I always call it BEC, right? Blessing energy centres. But BTOC, blessing of the energy centres. And this is one of Joe Dispenza's meditations, and it takes you through each of your energy centres, starting from the bottom, working up. And there's 8, by the way. And some of them are in slightly different positions to where you traditionally think of them. And for each centre, you practice a convergent focus. So you're putting your attention into that centre, because each of those centres has neurological tissue, and therefore it has a mind, and it innervates different parts of the body, and there's chemistry that goes with it, and different organs are associated, all of that stuff. So you practice this convergent focus, into the center, and then after a little bit you open your focus around the center. And so what does that do? When you do that with your big brain, remember, we come out of the heart because the heart focus always helps, but then we open the awareness out of the brain. It makes the brain more coherent. So when you do that with the energy centers, each one in turn, it makes them more coherent as well. And when you have more coherence through your energy centers, your body tends to be more coherent, and if you keep doing that, it tends to heal. So Jocelyn's been doing blessing of the energy centers, and at the end of that meditation, always somewhere in Joe's meditations, there is a point where you're invited to put your intention and intention into who do you want to be? How do you want to be when you open your eyes? What is it you're creating today, or in this moment? What's your intention? What are you putting behind you? What are you moving into? And the instant that she wrote about was, it's like he asked me, who do I want to be? And it's like, I should be great and I should be enormous, I should be awesome. But I feel all this pressure. And actually what I really want to feel is free and just released and just who I am. And, what does he actually mean about it? How do I know? How do I choose? So, Maddie, can you play with this question for me? And I thought, great question. Because really this is about all kinds of things. What do I really want? What is greatness? What is the greatest expression of me that I can be today? How do I know what that is? Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Julian. Good morning, beautiful people. How do I decide? Right? And by the way, it's a moving feast. From my own experience, what I find I desire, I want to be, and who I want to be, and what I want in life is constantly changing. So if you think you've nailed it one day, you might just find that by tomorrow you've grown out of it a bit. It's not a thing that you just think, I want to be that, and forever, right? Because you grow, and then you get to that, and then you think, well, now what? This is called being alive. Humans do this. So how do you work out, and this relates to very much yesterday, if you want to create a new life, you got to let go of the old one. And we all kind of, many of us know what we want to let go of. But we're often not so clear about what we want to embrace. So this really directly relates to, what am I going to let in? Who am I going to be today? Just today, because tomorrow I'll create myself again, right? This is what it's like for me. So when I thought about the question, interesting observation, Linda. You know what I think about the whole thing of self-worth. It comes into worthiness. But still, I don't even want to think of it as a problem. It's just like, well, what do I desire? Because if I focus on a thing that I want to solve, I'm putting my energy and my intention into that problem that I'm trying to solve. I would rather create who I want to be without that. So that's another sideline. The question, the key question that Jocelyn was asking is, do I have to choose between being fantastic and great and achieving wonderful things in life, maybe, and just feeling free and relaxed and released and just, it's so good, I feel fantastic. And the core thing inside that is thinking that if I'm going to be amazing, it must be a ton of work, and I can't possibly have an amazing life and create amazing things without working my ass off and it being stressful, which is a common, I bought into that for a very long time. It's a common misconception about success, that it's going to hurt. You work your ass off, you try, you go until it hurts, you bust yourself. It's like, hell no, I don't want that. But what if you don't have to choose between feeling whole and feeling good and having an amazing life, whatever that might be, which is going to keep on evolving. It's going to keep on creating. It's going to keep on. You're working it out. Hi, Abigail. Love your sunrise or sunset, whatever it is. It's beautiful. See it on my little screen. How do we choose? Well, maybe you don't have to. And the point about thinking, oh, I can be great or I can feel really good in myself is to actually question that choice, because I don't think that that's a choice we should ever have to make. Because, it isn't true that you only have greatness at the expense of life, at the expense of joy, at the expense of spaciousness, at the expense of peace, whatever, right? And it's very easy to think that it comes only at the expense of life, because you see so many people doing that. And remember, I used to think and believe that if I was going to be a successful entrepreneur, I would have to just, shred myself for a couple of years to get things started up, and then I'd still be working really hard, but I'd start to make some money, and that would mean it was kind of worthwhile. But, the old model of having to claw your way up and out, and out of the masses, out of the jungle, out of the competition, just to survive in business, for example, it's not true. It really isn't true. It's a lie, but it's a very powerfully programmed thing, and you see it in movies. You see that it's the way that people live, and you see it everywhere. People clawing and pushing and forcing and trying so hard to get ahead one way or another. And you think, well, I'd like to get ahead, but I don't want to do it like that. And so, it's like this whole idea. Greatness is totally not tied to worthiness and hard work, but we often believe that it is. We're born great, we're born worthy, we're born complete, we're born whole. We just, then we have a life and forget it. So, what I wanted to say, I think the key point that I wanted to make is, how do I say this? I'm going to ramble. Okay, we know that. If you recognize that when you feel whole, when you feel elevated emotion, when you feel joy, when you feel expanded, when you feel peace, when you feel good, right? In that state of being, whatever you create is going to fundamentally feel like more of that. And even if you do end up working your ass off, you'll be working your ass off from that state of expansion and joy and alignment. Roberta, good morning! Because I really want to do this. You can be working really hard from a place of joy and alignment and choosing and satisfaction, and it's really different from working really hard because you think you have to get ahead. Completely different. But it takes some courage to let go of the old paradigm and say, okay, I actually have to really choose myself. I have to choose what gives me joy. And if you're like me, you think, oh, feck, I don't even know what joy is. Piss off with your joy for so long. Then that's really hard, because it's hard to imagine what gives you joy, because you just don't know what it feels like, right? So you might have to practice, whatever it is that you need to try to feel. And you might just have to imagine or paint a picture, or, I don't know, make a collage of what it's like. Because we have these things in our brains called mirror neurons. And it's the thing, when you hear a baby laugh, it tends to make you smile, and you're probably going to chuckle. Good morning, Nora. So if you surround yourself with pictures, with sounds, with possible experiences, with reminders, with things that make you aware of who you want to be and how you want to feel, and it's always about how you want to feel. Always about how you want to feel, because having everything that you think you want, everyone and every whatever that you think you want, is not going to make you happy. Only you can do that. So you've got to actually choose your happiness first. And like I said yesterday, this isn't about saying, I'm not going to do anything that I don't like to do, because we sometimes have to do things we don't like to do. And also, if you are really accustomed to feeling miserable, you are not accustomed to feeling happy, and you're going to have to practice feeling happy. I know. I did that a lot. And I'm still getting better at it, but it's a lot easier now than it was, because I had superhighways in my brain and a very conditioned body that was about fear and about difficulty and about struggle. And, I'm turning that boat around a lot faster now, But for a long time, I didn't have the tools and it was damn slow. However, I knew that if I was in struggle and in difficulty and in all of that stuff, I was never going to get what I wanted. Morning, Di! It's great to see you! Yay! So we really have to choose things that come from a space of elevation and joy and peace and even just relaxation or freedom or release or whatever. Because if you get more accustomed to that kind of feeling, morning Lucy darling, then you are more likely to create things that give you more of that, and you're also more likely to say, shit, that makes me feel bad, piss off, I'm not doing that, go away, to things that you might have once said, oh, I need to do that because it's going to help my whatever it is. And I've done that. I committed myself, with money into these people that were complete shysters and ripped me off and everything. And I had to pay them to get out of this bloody contract because I was so afraid. And I thought, I just have to keep clawing my way up this cliff face. And, eventually I'll get to the top. Well, it didn't work because I was just in so much stress. There was no way anything amazing could find me because I was not in an amazing space. Now I'm in a much more amazing space and really amazing stuff is finding me. It's incredible. So you see, if you are brave enough, and like I say, it does take guts, it does take courage to say, okay, I'm going to stay with things that elevate me and lift me up because I know that if I am in a more elevated state, I'm going to tend to create more elevated experiences and feelings and thoughts and feelings and thoughts and thoughts and feelings and thoughts and feelings and experiences and being and becoming that person who much more automatically and naturally thinks and feels like a happy person, then more tending to be happy things are going to find me. And if I then think, well, now I'm feeling quite happy, what does greatness actually feel like? Does it feel like, oh, wow, I really helped some people. That was so satisfying. Does it feel like, oh, I beat my personal best. Woohoo, I know how much work it's talking on. I'm faster, I jumped higher, whatever. Did you find some great people to work with? Jocelyn! Great to see you, honey. Of course, we're talking about your question. What is it that when you are feeling more wholeness and more wellness and more goodness in you, that you then find you want to embrace? Because that's the other thing that just gets many of us, I shouldn't say most, many of us are like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. That was me for a very long time. Huge talent, huge ability, no idea. And it wasn't until I really got more whole and more connected to me and I started saying no to a lot of stuff, like you, Abigail. You have to walk away from things. You have to start saying no. And you have to say no a lot until something, it might just be one thing. It's like, oh my God, I really want that. It's really right for me. You have to say no, enough to say yes to yourself, enough to say I'm going to feel good and screw everybody and everything else. I've got to feel good because if I don't feel good, I'm not going to be useful or helpful really to anybody else because I'm going to be coming from a place of lack and, tra-la-la-la-la. So let me figure out who I am when I feel good. And meanwhile, the better you get at feeling good, the more eventually you are going to start naturally from that state of greater wholeness to want other people to feel more wholeness is what it fundamentally boils down to. When you feel so good in yourself that you don't want anything, it doesn't matter what shape it takes, you are going to want to give. And you will find a way to give. Now, whether that's by being the best performer or the best parent or the best business person or the best gardener or the best, artist or the best lawn mowing person that you can be, it doesn't matter. The point is, when you are whole, your you-ness will naturally find its greatest expression. And that greatest expression has nothing to do with what anybody else says you should be or that you think you should be. And that's a whole nother thing. I'm just saying, hang on a minute, I've got all these ideas from, around and about of what I should be and what constitutes greatness, and you've got to say no to all of them. You've got to clear the slate, man. Wipe it clean. Dunk it in water, wipe it off, dry it off, let it be blank. What's greatness to me? Well, maybe for you, Nora, greatness is saying, hell no, until you get good at it. Because the more you say hell no to things you don't want, the stronger you become in yourself, the more you value yourself. Let me tell you, there's a huge amount of self-worth in saying no. Berna, good morning. Oh, okay. Roberta, when your body is feeling bad, remember that somehow or other, honey, and me too, I create my body. I have created my body. I got programmed. I attracted the accident, whatever it was. I created that. That's the first thing. It's not betting up on you. And the thing, and I've had to do it, right? I have had to cultivate states of wellness when I don't feel well. Because I've got 10 seconds to do this. If you think about it, and maybe this is our conversation tomorrow, if you have conditioned your body and your epigenetic expression into creating the body and the life that you have, your mind, your brain, the neural pathways, the resonance, quantum attraction, all that stuff, and you might have done that for decades, then you actually have to create a new mind and become the person who's not living with Lyme disease. And it's absolutely possible because I've listened to people talk about it. They've done it. If you feel inspired, if you feel interested, go to YouTube, look up Joe Dispenza and put testimonial Lyme after the, 4 words. Because I know there's some people who've overcome what you're dealing with, and they've done it using his tools and his meditations. I've overcome some physical conditions that do not reverse recently. And I'm still not telling you the details because I'm not ready to, because it's really interesting when you say to somebody, I had this and I fixed it, and the first thing they say is, oh no! And I don't want anybody saying, oh no, about what I'm in the process of reversing, and that's why I don't say anything about it. But you can do it, Roberta. It takes dedication, it takes determination. I know, I'm doing it. But you can. And you have to signal your body ahead of the environment. That means you've got to create that feeling for no reason inside yourself. And feeling good is part of that. So we'll talk about it. So, Lyme disease has to stop being your nemesis and become your greatest teacher. And that's a hard thing for me to say. But my conditions also are my greatest teachers. Because when you overcome that mind that produced that body, and it didn't come from outside of you, quantumly we created our lives, each of us, then the disease exists in the old you, not in the new one. And this is what I know to be true from my own experience. I'm so passionate about it. It really is true. You can do it, honey. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I gotta go. I'll be back in about 3.5 hours to update you on our Sang Marie, on what he's doing in the Gambia. He's sent me some photographs. It's very exciting. There's good things going on, along with all the challenge. So I'll look forward to catching up with you then, and I'll look forward to picking this up again tomorrow. Big, big love. And thank you for asking me such fantastic questions. I look forward to responding to you. Bye-bye.